All right, making our way to number 2 on the top 5 best dive sites in the Komodo National Park. One of our all-time favorite dives, one of the most exciting dives in the area, a dive site that we call and many people call Shotgun. Located right here in the north side between Gili Lawa Laut and Gili Lawa Darat is a passage that, if dived at the right time, is one of the most exciting dives you may ever make. Called Shotgun because typically dived with a falling tide, meaning the water's pushing this direction and you go flying right through here. Let us bring up a map and we'll talk you through it. The world famous Shotgun, a very exciting dive, one of the most exciting dives in the Komodo National Park. Situated just between the islands of Gili Lawa Laut and Gili Lawa Darat. We will enter the water up here on the northwest side of Gili Lawa Laut. Depending on how strong the current is, we'll jump a little bit further back. Typically, we're always going to dive this on a falling tide with the water going this direction through the channel. When we get in, depending on where we're at, we may have a little bit of a wall that we're swimming along with a nice reef on the top. And then as we keep going down about 15 meters or so, maybe a little bit more, it starts to kind of taper out to a bit of a sandy slope and then a sandy bottom down in here. If you look up to the shallow water around the bommies in this area, a lot of times you can see big giant trevallies hunting. And then in the sand around here, lots of little spots of garden eels. As you swim over the top of them, of course, they sink down into the sand and you can't see them anymore. And then down here in the sandy bottoms, oftentimes we see white-tipped sharks kind of laying around. Little bommies with some sea fans and lots of soft coral and lots of little bommies all over in this area here. Very pretty area with the sand and the light hitting it. As you start to move this direction towards the center of the channel, you start to get kind of a rocky bottom, and the bottom topography changes a bit, and you get some big boulders with lots of life around it, and then you'll get to an area where all of a sudden this giant, what we call the cauldron, kind of opens up, and it goes down to a bottom of about 20 to 22 meters and is almost the entire area between the two islands here. It's a spectacular formation. You really need to be careful, and this Shotgun can be dived very safely if it's done in the right way. It can also be very dangerous if you don't dive it in the right way. And typically what that means is once you get into the cauldron, you want to come over to this side, now kind of going to reef on your right along this wall here. You want to make sure that as you're making your way through here, again, keep in mind that you've got current pushing you through here. In this area, it's not too strong yet, and depending on the time of day or the time of current, it might be a little bit stronger. You want to start to ascend as you get towards the end or towards this side of the cauldron. You want to be up towards about probably 10 meters or so, and then right at the end, this turns into almost a funnel where you're going to get really pushed very fast right through here. And that's where the dive site gets its name, Shotgun, from, because you blast right over the top of this rocky area very fast. It's important as you come across the top of this area with all the current pushing you around, stay cool, stay calm, keep an eye on your dive guide, make sure you're close to your buddy and that your group is all together heading in the same direction. Depending on the briefing that you've had and what the plan is, typically what we'll try to do is start moving towards the left side of the reef of the dive site. So reef on the left again, heading this direction. Again, if it's in the briefing and everybody is aware that you might go ahead and just swim out into this area or a little bit to the right, then no problem at all. Also some nice reef out in the front here. The formations and everything down in here, very pretty area, lots of coral, lots of life. This dive site is really more about what's going on out in the open water. A lot of times we see mantas here in this area, And as you swim along the left with the reef on your left here, you might actually be able to catch an eddy, which is going to bring you back up into this area, into the shallows, where you have a better chance to see manta rays. So really special place. This is the dive site that some of our divers a few years ago got to see the megamouth shark, which is arguably one of the most rare sharks in the world. So Shotgun, Komodo National Park, some of the best diving on the planet.